Good morning. Usually I say good evening. Now it's 5:30 a.m. and this is the night of Hoshana, Rabbah, the Laila Kadosh, the holy night. This whole tikkun is based on the words of the Kabbalists, the Mekubalim. Based on the pshat, there's not that much really to do besides the davening of the morning. We do Sheva Akafot 7 times around the bima. As you know, the synagogue is built like Bet HaMikdash used to be. So you have, it's like the Mizbeach, and the Aron HaKodesh is Kodesh HaKodashim. And in Bet HaMikdash, they used to go around the bima, around the Mizbeach, I should say. They used to put aravot in barrels of water. They used to put aravot, and they used to do this tikkun in Bet HaMikdash. That's why this custom is already for 2,000 years. We do it every year. And the aravot is going by water. They need water, so they go arvei nachal. That's the way the Torah describes it. Even though you should know there's red arava, green, there's a lot of different aravot. There's hundreds of books were written about Arbat Aminim, different kind of etrogim. How do you know it's not mixed? How do you know it's 100% kosher? The Moroccan etrog, the Yemenite etrog, all kinds of different, from Italy, there's many different etrogim. Which one, everyone argue which one was the original etrog as the Torah spoke about. It's very complicated, but one thing we know, that this custom of going around with the lulavim, with Arbat Aminim, is a memory as they used to do in Bet HaMikdash. In Bet HaMikdash, they used to do the Allel with the Arbat Aminim. It's from the Oraita, the entire Chag of Sukkot. Some say, Rav Eliashiv Alav Shalom, I heard in his name, that even people who goes to the Kotel HaMa'aravi today is a souvenir. It's like a memory of Bet HaMikdash. There's really no Bet HaMikdash, but the holiness of the place, if they go every day to daven there, it's count like it's mitzvah deoraita, every day. But the rest of the world, the rest of Israel, only the first day is deoraita, and the rest of the holiday, it's all rabbinical, the Rabbanan, just a memory of. That's why there's different halachot in the first day of Sukkot and the rest of the days. The first day, if you have an etrog with a pitam, with the edge, the pitam, it broke. First day it's pasul, you cannot make bracha on it. The rest of the days it's kasher, right? It's the Rabbanan, safek the Rabbanan lekula, safek the oraita lechumra, you can do. And many other differences. In a second, the rest of the days is more lenient as opposed to the first day. Now, as you know, in Chag Sukkot, there's many questions about this Chag Sukkot. First of all, why Chag Sukkot comes in the times when the winter begins? The exodus of Egypt was Yetziat Mitzrayim, was in a spring. The Torah called the Nes, the miracle of Pesach called Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu want Pesach always to be the exodus of Egypt, that we celebrate Pesach always when it's nice and warm, like it was in the time of the exodus of Egypt. And the mitzvah of Sukkah is a memory of this miracle of Yetziat Mitzrayim. So the mitzvah really technically should have been that we sit in a Sukkah and do Leil HaSeder together. That's really the ideal way it should have been. It should have been Sukkot, should have been combined with Pesach. Well, when you do Leil HaSeder, the night, and then also you sit in a Sukkah, you have the Schach, you have everything combined as the memory of this miracle. Why it was broken to 2 different holidays. One holiday, Pesach, the exodus of Egypt, Arba Kosot, Maror, all these things we do in Pesach, and all of a sudden, few months later, in Sukkot, when it's already starting to be cold and it's raining, and then we need Mitztaer Patur Min HaSukkah, mostly because of the rain and the cold. Otherwise, most of the tsar comes when a person is in pain and sorrow. What can it be? Either it's raining on him or it's freezing, right? But in the spring, it's beautiful. You wouldn't need this law, Mitztaer Patur Min HaSukkah. So why it's falling like this? Why it's falling in Tishrei? So the answer is, as you know, after the sin of the golden calf, the Ananei Kavod, which Hashem made the Ananim, these clouds, was like a special roof on top of the Bnei Israel when they came out of Egypt from the hot desert. So the Ananei Kavod, there were 7 different kinds of clouds. One cloud was making the floor straight, because you know in the desert sometimes it goes up, it goes down. It's not so straight. There's holes in the ground. People can sprain their ankles. He used to make the floor straight like a floor today. And then right after they passed, it goes back to the way it was. Mamash clear miracle in front of their eyes. Not only the ocean split, there are many miracles for every step they were making. Also, it was like air condition. Air comes, cool breeze with some steam of cold water, and it also makes shade. And also it cleans the clothes. The clothes have special dry clean. They need to change their clothes for 40 days. 40 years. 40 years they didn't need to change their clothes. None of the clothes getting ripped. Everything is smell beautiful, clean. There's a lot of miracles, one after the other. So after the scene of the golden calf, the clouds disappeared. When the clouds came back, after Moshe Rabbeinu went up for 40 days, came down the following day after Yom Kippur, right after that, shortly after that, the Ananei Kavod came back. That day is already memorized as Chag Sukkot, as is Zecher LaAnanei Kavod. There's 2 reasons why we sit in a sukkah, in a Gemara. 2 reasons. One reason is because of the cloud who was protecting us from the sun. Second reason is because actually they built Sukkot. Just like the Sukkot we have today, they actually sat in a sukkah. So because of these 2 reasons, so the main part of the sukkah, everybody understands, is the schach. The schach is the holy part of the sukkah. So therefore a Jew can call a goy to build a whole sukkah for him. Everything, the walls, the floor, he can even put the decoration for you, put the tables in, the chairs, clean, whatever you want, as long as a part of the schach you do on your own. If not, you didn't do mitzvah sukkah. You have to build. To build a sukkah, it's not a mitzvah. You should know. It's called hechsher mitzvah. You need it. You need a sukkah to do the mitzvah on a Yom Tov. That's why technically it's really, to build a sukkah, it's not a mitzvah. You can keep the sukkah forever, all year forever, just that you pick up the schach, at least, a part of the schach, you pick it up and you put it down, as you count you did the hechsher mitzvah. But really, even if you do nothing, and you have a sukkah ready completely, you still do the mitzvah on a Yom Tov. Because the actual mitzvah is to sit in a sukkah. When you eat bread, mezonot, and when you sleep. That's really when you are making the mitzvah, when you are able to make bracha. Now, we're going tonight to Shmini Atzeret, the 8 days. Shmini Atzeret, it's a separate holiday. Even though it's attached to Sukkot, we still have some of the laws apply from Sukkot, fall on Shmini Atzeret, but it's a special holiday. It's Atzeret means, what happened is in the time of Bet HaMikdash, they used to sacrifice 70 cows for all the nations. There were 70 nations. There were more than 70, but some nations are broken from 1 into 2, into 3, into 10, like the Arabs, right? The Arabs, you can have more than 20 countries who are Arab countries. Yeah. So, okay, so the Arabs are 20 countries came from Ishmael, but really altogether it's one nation. Ishmael is one minister in heaven, Ishmael is. But today you have 20 different countries. The whole Middle East is by Arabs. Not include Iran. Iran, it's not Ishmael. Azerbaijan, it's also Muslim. It's not Ishmael. Turkish, it's not Ishmael. This is not Ishmael. This is only nations who didn't have religion, and they brainwashed them to accept this religion with the power of the sword and with some tricks. They didn't have that much cleverness, I should say, and they follow this nonsense religion. Slowly, it spreads in the rest of the world. So it goes to countries that have nothing to do with Ishmael. But it's all started as one minister is in charge of all Arabs. So that's one minister. But together in Sukkot, they sacrifice 70 cows. Only one cow from the 70 is for the nation of Israel. When was it? In the 8th day of Sukkot, Shmini Atzeret. All the other cows was all for the Goyim. That's why the Gemara said the Goyim destroyed Bet HaMikdash. Before they destroyed Bet HaMikdash, we used to sacrifice these cows as repentance for them. We did a huge favor for them. They destroyed, and they don't even know what they destroyed, the Gemara says. They only knew what damage they made for themselves, the Goyim. So you say today hurricanes, disaster, tsunamis, all these things. Things like this, in the time of Bet HaMikdash, the repentance, when we sacrifice those sacrifices for them, used to help them. Now, we don't have Bet HaMikdash. So what do we have? We have the prayers. The prayers are replacing the sacrifices. By the Goyim, there's nothing to replace. When the Bet HaMikdash was destroyed, there's no more cows for them. The Goyim don't have the prayers of Chazal with all the secrets. They make their own prayers to their idols, to whatever. That definitely doesn't help them. If any, it makes their situation a lot worse. So, this minhag, every night of the holiday, every morning of the holiday of Sukkot, we go around the bima and we do the Hoshana. Of course, the words of the Hoshana is all by Chazal. This is a memory of what used to be in Bet HaMikdash. But in Hoshana Rabbah, it's 7 different circles, 7. We do, and that's why the prayers is perhaps the longest prayers of the year. Besides Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, this is the longest Shachrit. Why? Because you have the regular Shachrit, then you have Hallel, then you have Hoshana, 7, not 1, 7. Then you have laning, reading in the Torah. Then you have Musaf. Everything combined in one davening. And I'm not talking Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, it's a separate thing. But other than that, from the regular prayers of all holidays and all, it's the longest prayer of the year. Okay, so after that, we have this minhag of the Arava. In Aleph Bet, you have 22 letters, plus 5 ending letters, like ending Mem, ending Nun, or ending Tzadik. All these things is some Kabbalistic secrets in it. Mansapach, that's one Mansapach. So this is a minhag, this comes from the time of the prophets. This minhag started even from the time of the prophets, which means before the second temple was destroyed. It's very, very holy and old custom to hit the ground, not floor, the ground like grass or sand, and a place that to hit it and to say the special prayers, then to come inside to say Nishmat Kol Chai, which we're going to do in 2-3 hours from now. Now, the question is, in Pesach, the night of Pesach, we sing Ma Nishtana Alayla Hazeh. What's different this night from all the Leilot? What's special in the night of Pesach, when we do Leila Seder, from all the rest of the year? So we begin to sing, Shebechol HaLeilot, every night of the year we do this and this and that, and tonight it's completely different. So why we don't sing this song in Sukkot? Right? When we go in the first night of Sukkot, we eat 2 ounces of bread, what we call kabeitza. 1 ounce, it's kazait. 2 ounces is kabeitza, 56 grams. 1 ounce, 28 grams. 2 ounces, 56 grams. There's arguments between the poskim if what they say kabeitza means with the peel or without the peel. If it's with the peel, 56 grams. Without the peel, 45 grams. Whenever you have doubts, when it comes to a measurement from the Torah, all the measurements was given to Moshe Rabbeinu in Mount Sinai, and we have arguments about it. So every time you have a doubt from mitzvah from the Torah, you have to go to the strict side. So you don't take a risk. You do 56 and more. Anything more than 2 ounces, is already you fulfill the obligation. The first night of Sukkot, it's the most important night of the entire 8 days. That night, it's mitzvah to eat 2 ounces of bread in the sukkah. It's mitzvah from the Torah. The next morning is not mitzvah from the Torah. Every other meal we do in a sukkah, it's not an obligation from the Torah. You can go the whole 8 days of Sukkot without eating bread. You may not have to sit in a sukkah bichlal at all. Why is it? Because there's no obligation to eat bread. Same thing in Pesach. From Halacha, You're not obligated to eat matzah all 8 days of Pesach when we live in the exile here. Only the night of Leil HaSeder is mitzvah to eat 2 ounces of matzah at least in the night of Leil HaSeder. The rest, it's a choice. You want to eat, you have to eat matzah. You cannot eat bread because it's chametz. You want to eat a meal, so you are forced to eat matzah. You don't want to eat any meal. You can eat fruit, you can eat meat, you can eat rice. You don't have to eat matzah. There's no obligation to eat matzah. Same thing over here. First night, you are obligated to eat bread. How do we know it? We learn it from Gzera Shava, from the Torah. What does it mean, Gzera Shava? There are 13 formulas that Hashem gave Moshe Rabbeinu in Mount Sinai, how to learn. That's the foundation of the oral Torah, of the Torah Shebe'al Peh. We read it every morning in Shachrit, before the first Kaddish, before Odu. We say 13 midot, התורה נדרשת בהם, קל וחומר, גזירה שווה. קל וחומר, it's needless to say. If you did something and this is your punishment, if you did something much worse, then the punishment is much bigger. It's needless to say. This is things that you learn, it's called קל וחומר. Okay? Then you have גזירה שווה. What's גזירה שווה? We have in traditions that altogether there are 400 gzerot shavot in the Torah. What does it mean, gzera shava? There is 2 psukim, 2 verses in the written Torah with a mutual word. And our sages, Chazal, they had this knowledge that we already don't have, but we count on their knowledge. They knew that there are linkage between those verses, that if this verse is talking about one law and another verse has a mutual word, that means that law applies to that law as well. So because in the night of Pesach, which is the 15th day of Nisan, which is the 14th day of Nisan, we are preparing with the sacrifice of Passover, and we're preparing the matzot for the night, and in the night we have an obligation to eat the matzah, al matzot umerorim yochlu, right? So since the Torah speaking Tetvav, the 15th, there is another verse that's speaking about the 15th day of Tishrei, you're going to sit in a Sukkot, 15, it's a mutual word in the Torah. So we learned that the same way there's an obligation to eat matzah, at least 2 ounces in the night of the 15th of Nisan, we have the same obligation to eat bread inside the Sukkah in the first night of Sukkot, which, you know, in Judaism, the day begins in the beginning of the night. After the stars appear, that's the beginning of the new day, not like the Goyim at midnight. By the Goyim, when it's becoming dark, it's still the same day. By us, once it becomes dark, it's a new day. As the Torah says in Genesis, in Bereshit, Vayi erev, vayi boker, yom echad. Vayi erev, vayi boker, yom sheni. It was night, it was day, which means the night is the beginning. When it's getting dark, is the beginning of a new day in a calendar. So once you see stars, there's an obligation to eat bread inside the sukkah in the first night. What happens if it's raining? You cannot make the bracha. Why? Because you're suffering. When you suffer, you are dismissed from the sukkah. If you sit in the rain in the sukkah and it's dripping on you and it's dripping into your food, not only it's not a mitzvah, it's chas v'shalom like cursing Hashem. Why? It's not, Hashem says, v'samachta b'chagecha, you have to be happy in your holiday. And also Chazal told us, mitzta'er patur min sukkah. If you have sorrow and agony and aggravation inside the sukkah, such as bad smell who came, not that you build a sukkah in a smelly place to begin with and finding and tricking Hashem. So you know what? If somebody has aggravation, it is dismissed from the sukkah. I want to live in my $5 million mansion. Why do I'm going to sleep in a sukkah now? Let me build a sukkah in a place where there's construction, there's bad smell over there, by the sewer. Like this, my sukkah, I'm dismissed. No, that's a criminal. We're talking, you build a sukkah in a kosher place, and a few hours later something happened and bad smell came in the neighborhood, or some goy decided to cook his pork next to you, and you have to smell it now. All kinds of things that was unexpected. Then you are dismissed if you suffer, or if there's bugs or bees, or freezing weather, or such a hot, humid weather that you cannot breathe. All these things who makes you suffer dismiss you from the sukkah. However, so the first night, even if it's raining, a person has to wait even all night until the rain will stop, even for 5 minutes, that he can sit quickly in a sukkah and make the bracha lishev b'sukkah and eat at least 5 minutes it takes. Eat at least 2 ounces of bread when he's not suffering in a sukkah. The rest of the nights, it's raining, you go inside, you can eat inside, no problem. Too freezing, you cannot sleep in a sukkah. Some people, they put 10 blankets, cover the head. They don't realize that it's not only if you freeze when you sleep or not, it's also when you breathe, the cold air goes into your lung all night. The morning you become sick. That wasn't the intention of the Torah. In Israel, you don't have these problems. You live in a holy land, there's not freezing weather there, ever, in Sukkot. The only mitztaer could be either it's too hot or that there could be terrorism, the Arabs controlling Israel, whether you like to admit it or not. They are everywhere, terrorism is everywhere, and it's dangerous. You sleep in some areas, you're close to their territories, they can come and slaughter you in the middle of the night. So if you fear, then it's mitztaer. You always worry, who knows what can happen. So it's called mitztaer. Or it's raining. Usually in Sukkot is the first rain. It's called the yoreh. Usually always it falls on Sukkot. That's the only ways in it, but nobody freezes in Israel. Nobody freezes in Sukkot. But over here, or in Russia, or in Europe, it can be freezing weather. That's called mitztaer patur min sukkah. So the question that I ask, why in Pesach we sing Ma nishtana? What's different this night from all the nights? And the night of Sukkot, we don't sing this song. Why? The song is for the same miracle. Same miracle. Here we say Ma nishtana. Here we came out of Egypt. Okay, and what we say, one of the things is we ask, why all the time we were slaves? Now all of a sudden we are kings, princes. We're sitting beheseva. You know, in Pesach, you sit on a chair like a king. All year around, the Jewish people were not masters, whatever they are. They are under the control of the goyim, under the control of their decisions, under anti-Semitism, under slavery, under all kinds of problems. All of a sudden, Passover night, everyone becomes a king. Drink wine, laying on the pillows. What's going on? So that's why we sing, Ma nishtana layla hazeh. What's special? But in Sukkot, there is no point of singing it. Why? Because we, as the Jewish nation, always was on a road. We were always traveling. We always live in tents. We always live in Sukkot. There's nothing special for us. We always on a run. Always this decrees. The Jews have to live in 1 week. The Jews have to leave. The Jews have to do this. The Jews have to do this. If they don't leave, we'll kill you. Inquisitions, all kinds of problems. Sitting in the sukkah for us, it's nothing special. Even if we have 40, 50 years of peace, then the decrees begin. If you look at the history, the Jews never had a peace of mind, no matter where they live. It could be 20, 30, 50 years, was already incredible. Right after that comes a new king, Melech Asher Lo Yada Et Yosef, the problems begin. Throughout history, the Jews are establishing themselves, they're very successful in economy, they build nice houses, comes some anti-Semite Muslim caliph, he changed the rules, everyone has to run away. Christian crazy king comes, he makes decisions, decrees, inquisition, you must be Christians, you have no rights, all the history repeats all the time. So the Jew is nothing special. Living in a sukkah is not such a big difference from our history. Living like a kings, that's a big difference from our history. That's why we sing the songs in Pesach and not in Sukkot. Now, we all know the Arbat Aminim, the 4 kinds of things that we use. Each one of them symbolizes different parts of our body. The lulav is the spine. The etrog is the heart. The arava is the lips. And the adasim is the eyes. If you look at the leaves of the adas, looks like eyes. And the arava look like lips, it's long leaves. And the etrog look like and the lulav look like a spine. And the etrog has the shape of a heart. And the size of a heart also. Most of them. But really the secrets of them, that you have to hold them together. If you hold the lulav like this and the etrog over there, you don't do the mitzvah correctly. It has to be always together. Why? Why it's so important that they touch each other? You hold them together, combined. Why? The answer is because we have a rule in Judaism that when you pray alone, Hashem looked at you as an individual and He decided if to accept your prayer or not. If you're perfectly tzaddik, you're righteous, you're clean, no gezel, no stealing, no lashon hara, no zera levatala, none of these things, then Hashem looks at you and says, you know what? That's a pure tzaddik, pure righteous person. Your prayer can go even if you pray by yourself, the express. How many people like this you have in the world? You can count them on one or two hands. If Hashem will judge each person for everything he does, how many of us, our prayers deserve to go express? So what's the solution? To pray in minyan. Tfilah betzibur. Tzibur, the word tzibur means public, together. Tzibur is abbreviation. There's a secret in this word tzibur. Tzadik, Yud, Bet, Vav, Resh, right? So it's actually without Yud. Tzibur, Tzadik, Bet, Vav, Resh. מה זה? צדיק, צדיקים. ורשעים, right? ובינוניים, ורשעים. We have צדיק, ובינוניים, ורשע. It comes together. So we have righteous, mediocre, half and half, and Reshaim, completely wicked, all gathered together, and they pray together. Same thing over here. The Arbat Aminim, there are 4 different kinds of people. There are people that have no Torah and no manners, no derech eretz, nothing, empty. You cannot find any good thing about them. You know, they're arrogant, dirty mouth, dirty thoughts, dirty behaving, no chesed, no Torah, cannot say one word of Torah. 7 years he lives, besides playing sheshbesh and go to watch some soccer games, and nothing he knows. Worthless. You know, mamash like an animal. Who is he? Arava. This person, you put a sticker on his head, Mr. Arava. Why Arava? Arava doesn't have no smell and no taste. Smell and taste is a mashal, parable to Torah and manners and derech eretz. You know, if he has nothing, that means he has no taste, no smell, that means this Arava is like a person is worthless. Then we have Adas, smells beautiful, amazing smell, like heaven, but no taste. So someone who has nice manners, everywhere people smell good from him, he doesn't make bad reputation, but no taste, no Torah, nothing, doesn't know Torah. But he's always run, he serves the people, he cleans the shul, he's the last one who clean, he serves, he brings tea, he knows to learn, I don't know. Let me at least make the people who learns happy. Let me get them cake, let me give them this, let me wake them up for minyan, let me, you know, he's always nice. No one hates him. Why? Because he's a nice person. But Torah he doesn't have. So he's like Hadas. Smells great, no Torah. Then we have Lulav. Lulav comes from the date tree. The palm tree has dates. So he has Torah, he has good taste, but no smell. You try to smell it, no smell. But delicious smell, delicious taste. The dates, it's very good taste. So he has Torah, but no manners. You ask, how can it be? Someone who has Torah, how can he not have manners? Right? How can a person have Torah without manners? The answer is, many people that learn Torah, it makes them arrogant and proud. Pride goes into the heart. Why? Before he knew Torah, there was nothing to be proud of. What should I be proud of? That I know the new cars who came to the market, that I know about watches, that I know about suits. What am I going to brag about? If I go and sit in front of the rabbis, what am I going to talk to them about? The new suit came to the market, they invented a new shirt, the new watch came in Switzerland, the Belgium invented a new chocolate. What am I going to speak to the rabbi? A new basketball team won the championship, an Israeli soccer team played and put a yarmulke on and say Shema Israel, what am I going to tell the rabbis? Only one thing I can speak in front of people who are in a high level, what? Torah. So once he become already a Talmid Chacham, he's starting to become proud. And everyone else that is not a Talmid Chacham is worthless for him. Sometimes he become a racist. The Torah that he knows makes him a racist. Why? He looks at a group of people who they came from a country that they couldn't learn Torah over there. Either communism or Muslim decrees, or there was no enough rabbis to teach Torah over there, or there were poverty, people had to work like slaves, so they couldn't learn Torah. And he came from a place that they had wealth, and they can afford to learn Torah. So it makes him, he feels like a big shot. And the Torah has a way to make a person feel important. Once he knows a lot of Torah, he knows everyone respect him, it may make him more proud than his natural way. Because of that, this is somebody like the palm tree, like the tamar. Yes, you have good taste because you know a lot of Torah, but you don't have a good smell, and nobody can stand you, right? And even if people of his whole house cannot stand him. And if you ask me if something like this happened in history, it happened. The Gemara brings a story about the son of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who in the history was like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. How many people? You can count on one hand. And his son was just as big as him. His son buried next to him in Meron. His son, when he died, 22 years, his wife kept him in the attic. He didn't need burial. 22 years without refrigerator, without freezer. He was in the heat of Israel, in the attic, in 110 degrees, 22 years, not one worm came out of his body. The body never smelled. People used to come pray in their house. Yeah, Eliezer, his son, was a very holy man. But he was very heavy, full of fat. The Gemara say, in the month of Tammuz, the Chachamim made him a liposuction surgery. If you think the doctors today invented liposuction, think again. At the time of the Gemara, they took two big buckets full of fat from his body. They took out of his body. The Gemara say they made him sleep on a marble surface. Why marble? Because the Chachamim knew, just like the scientists today, without microscope, they knew that marble is the most sterilized material you can find in nature. It takes less germs. If you clean it, that's it. There's no germs on it. Every other thing attracts germs to come. But marble is very sterilized. So they put him on a marble, the Gemara say, and they took 2 buckets of fat from his body with pieces of flesh, pieces of meat from his body with the blood mixed in the fat, and they did not smell the entire month of Tammuz. When in every normal person, if you take fat from his body, a minute later he begins to smell the entire area. Like it was horrible smell, you know? But his fat did not smell. So the Gemara say, one time he was walking on a donkey, riding on a donkey, and he saw a very ugly man. So he said to this man, Reka. What is it, Reka, in our days? Efes, loser. Hey, loser. Imagine such a thing. The chief rabbi of Israel, one of the chief rabbis, he drives in his car, and he opens the window and he sees somebody ugly on the street of Bnei Brak or Yerushalayim, the chief rabbi of the world. And he said to him, hey, loser. Imagine such a thing. Now somebody like this can stay in job. People would burn his books probably. How much Lashon Hara on the internet you have on him? For years. You're calling him rabbi? This is the Rabbi Shimon Mechayem et him. Not somebody today, somebody bought him a nice house, so he forgot he's a rabbi, started to dress like a model. We're not talking this kind of we're talking holy men. So he said to him, hey, tell me, you ugly. Who made you? He said to him, how come you're so ugly? Or all the people in your city are ugly like you? He asked him.
How could they know better?
So he said to him, you calling me ugly? Why don't you go and complain to the artist who designed me? So right away, he realized he made a big mistake. And he started to apologize to him. Please forgive me, I'm so sorry. So first of all, why the Gemara brings this story? To make this holy man looks bad forever? You know what the busha is this? Imagine now, 2,000 years, every Jew all over the world, he gets to this Gemara and he learns about him. It's a big busha. It's not an article 2 weeks in the New York Times and everyone forget about you. This is for 2,000 years. It's a part of the oral Torah. It became an integral part of the Talmud. Cannot erase it. Mashiach come, it's still going to stay. It's a big busha. Yeah. Why they brought this story? To make him look bad? No. Everywhere else he said that he was a very holy man. Learned Torah 13 years with his father with an angel. If he wasn't worthy, the angel wouldn't come. If you have tzaddik and rasha, the angel said, get this smelly one out of here. If you want to learn with me in Kedusha, get rid of him. Send him out. I cannot learn with him. He was a tzaddik just like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So the answer is, the Gemara brought this story to teach us that someone who made a horrible mistake, and once the person told him, go to the artist who made me, right away realize his mistake, it didn't take him a second to make tshuva. He doesn't have ego like it looks like. But the Torah, he felt so perfect that all of a sudden he said to this man, look how you look. And right away he followed him the entire way to the town and begged him for mechila, and this person wasn't ready to forgive. He doesn't want to forgive. And then when the people of the city came out, and they say, Rabbi, Rabbi, Rabbi. So the ugly men say, who are you calling a rabbi? He said, to this man behind you. He said, if he's a rabbi, may never be any rabbi like him in the nation of Israel. He said, Chaz v'shalom, how you say such a thing? So he told them what he did. So they told him, forgive him. He's a very big, important man. Forgive him. So he said, the ugly man said, I forgive you for their honor. Which means he didn't really forgive 100% from his heart. And because of this story, by the way, we have the halacha that we write mezuzot with something soft. The Gemara say, we write mezuzot with kaneh. Today we write with feather, which is even softer. But with kaneh, it's soft, it's flexible, but not from erez. Etz erez is very hard. It's not flexible. Why? Because Gemara wants to teach us that Hashem loves people that are soft. Flexible means they put their head down. If somebody offended them, they're willing to forgive right away. They don't make a big deal out of it. Some people, every little thing, for years, they keep it in their heart. For years. Some people, 5 minutes later, don't worry, I forgave you, it never happened. They move on with their life. Next thing you need a favor, it's really never happened. Not like the people, 10 years they say, הריני מוחל וסולח לכל מי שהכעיס והכנית אותי. 10 years they declare that they forgave that person. After 10 years they see him on the street, they're ready to kill him. Every day, הריני מוחל וסולח. In the morning, what does he say? הריני מקבל עליי מצוות ואהבת לרעך כמוך. 10 years later, he see him. What happened to Elul, Yom Kippur, Slichot, Salachnu, everything is baloney. Just beautiful speeches. So the story over here to teach us that even if you make the most horrible mistake, you have to do tshuva, and the faster you do it, the better it gets. So Sukkot comes right after Yom Kippur. Why? Because to go to the exile is the best remedy for the neshama, for the soul. If a person has to leave his comfortable home, and he goes out to a place that is not comfortable for him, that's erasing all his sins, and it's a new start for him. This is the secret when Hashem said to Avraham Avinu, Lech lecha, Lech lecha. I already told him, מה זה Lech lecha? Lech, it's numeric value 50. Lecha, it's also 50. 50 and 50. When you'll be 100, you'll have a boy that will continue your way. Lech lecha. He was 75 years old. So he said, leave everything you have and go to the unknown. Go, leave everything. Abraham could have said, Hashem, have mercy on me. It took me many years to establish my empire here. Now you want me to leave, to go to a place, to start from zero. Avraham didn't make a beep. And that, therefore, Avraham is memorized as one of the most important people ever. So, the 7 days of Sukkot, every night, another Ushpizin comes to the Sukkah. Ushpizin means in Aramaic a guest, an important guest. Of course, it's the spirit. You ask how the spirit of Avraham, or Yitzchak, or Yaakov, or anyone can go to 5,000 or 50,000 Sukkot all over the world at the same time. Have to be how they split themselves. The answer is a soul can be in few places at the same time. It's not a physical object. Like for instance, and I just made a new film, Life After Death. I put some DVDs here on the table. You can watch. It's scientific proof that really the soul never dies. And people died and came back to life, and they report what happened to them. Very interesting film. But one of the symptoms is Jews and non-Jews that died in an accident. Let's say the accident was in a highway. And then they took them all the way to the hospital, which is 10 miles away. When they came back to life after 10, 20 minutes, or 30 minutes even, they reported what happened in the last half an hour when they were completely dead. They were able to describe the hospital, every room in the hospital, and the highway, the place of the accident where parts of the body were still there. They were able to report from the highway and from the hospital at the same time. How can they be in two different places? It's 10 miles away. If the body lay here, the body, worse comes to us, the body can say what's in this room. How the body that is right here transferred all over the hospital and the highway, the body is right here. The spirit has no limitation. It's very interesting. It's a divine, it's like a little God. The soul of a person is a spark from Hashem. It's a little God. And what happened in the soul? The soul can report with no limitation. And this is the same thing with Shpizin, same thing Eliyahu Hanavi comes to every Brit Milah. How can he comes to every Brit Milah? If today there's 500 Brit Milah today, all over the world. One in Hong Kong, one in Israel, one in United States, one in Europe. Eliyahu Hanavi, why? He's not getting tired going to all the Brit Milah, circumcision? What's going on? Of course, there's no limitation. There's no problem whatsoever. Now, I want to read to you, before the time will arrive for us to pray, I want to read to you something very interesting. So we conclude what I said before on the 4 different kinds of people. Some people can have Torah, but they have problems with the personality. They don't work on the character, on the midot. And because of that, they are like the lulav. They have good taste, the dates, but they don't have good smell. And the perfect one is the etrog. The etrog has good smell, great smell, and also great taste. Today, the etrogim don't have taste. But in the time of the Torah was given, the etrogim had the most delicious taste. We learned it from a midrash that said that Yosef HaTzadik, he went to Egypt when he was 17 years old. He was very, very good-looking man, very handsome man. But not just another handsome movie star that you know today. He was such a pretty young boy that the women were doing everything they can in Egypt to look at his face. He couldn't stop looking at his beauty. That's how beautiful he was. Now imagine, 17 years old is when the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, it's the strongest ever in the life of a person. Plus, he goes away from his father, from his Rebbe. His father was his Rebbe. Far away from Torah. Far away from Jewish community. Alone in a country where all the most horrible sins are happening all the time. All the prostitutions, all the sins, the worst sins that you can think of. And he has to live in the same house with one of the most beautiful women ever lived. What a big nisayon. Who could have passed such a nisayon? So the Midrash tells us that she used to talk about his beauty. She was a married woman, this Egyptian. She was telling everyone, you have to see what this Hebrew slave that came to us, you have to see how good looking he is. So they used to make fun at her. They used to make fun at her. So the Midrash said they used to make a party, all the rich ministers, their wives, and they used to serve etrogim. There was the fruit of the kings, like the most important fruit in the world. So the Midrash said that they used to slice it. It was so delicious. So when he walked to the room, all of them looked at him. They were so shocked that they cut their fingers off. It was all bleeding. Why? Because they were shocked from his beauty. But from this Midrash, we learn how the etrogim was like paradise. So you ask, what happened that it's not so delicious? That's not even a question. Why? All the Shivat Aminim, all the fruits that describe in the Torah, when Moshe sent the spies went to the Holy Land for the first time, before they entered to Israel. They describe the fruits was huge. The grapes, every grape was the size of a grapefruit. It was amazing. And honey, the sweetness of the fruit when they were on a tree was dripping. A person can come and open his mouth and drops are falling right into his mouth like honey. That's how the fruit was. Today, the fruits and the vegetables are nothing compared to what it used to be. Nothing. Why is it? The Torah said that because of the sins, everything that grows from the ground, the quality of it goes lower and lower. Lower and lower. So even though it's much, much, much lower than what it used to be 3,000 years ago, it's still the best fruits in the whole world, in Israel. No one denies it. But it's nothing compared to what it was. And if you don't believe, the older one here can tell you that the fruits in Israel 50 years ago compared to today were much better than today. 50 years ago, the fruit was much better than today. 30 years was much better than today. It's less and less every generation. It's not as good. It's not as good as it was. And this is it. That's what's really happening. So this is the 4 different kinds. So when we put them together, the righteous, the perfect chachamim that have good midot, and the chachamim that doesn't have such good midot, and the amei haratzot that have good midot but don't have Torah, and those who have nothing, all gathered together. One is covering for the other. That's the whole unity of Chag Sukkot. Also, one more thing about Sukkot. In Pesach, it's all pure holiday for the Jews. Sukkot, for whatever reason, if we read in the entire Talmud and the words of the prophets, the holiday of Sukkot also is for the Goyim. The Goyim don't make Sukkah. But everything that speaks about the Goyim somehow relates to Sukkot. For instance, the Nevuah of Gog uMagog, the end of the world, after the disaster, what's going to happen? It says that the Goyim who will remain will come to celebrate the holiday of Sukkot. Why this? From 613 mitzvot, Hashem likes to give the Goyim this mitzvah of Sukkah. Also, the Midrash said that La'atid Lavo, after Mashiach come, the Goyim will come and they complain. They say, why the Jews get this prize now? They have Mashiach and everything. What's with us? Why we didn't get it? So Hashem said to them, all these years, you didn't come, you didn't join my nation, you didn't do anything. Why should you get it? You know what? Let me give you one mitzvah. Which mitzvah he gives them? Mitzvah Sukkah. So he gives them mitzvah Sukkah. And he takes out the sun. One time in a history, there was a very hot day. And the 3rd day of Avraham Avinu, after he circumcised himself, he was 100 years old. 3 days after the circumcision is the most painful day. And then Avraham goes to look for guests. And Hashem made it such a hot day that there's no guest on the street. In the end, Avraham doesn't give up. Hashem sent him the angels. The rest of the story you know. But one thing over here is very interesting. When Hashem will tell the Goyim, okay, build a sukkah and sit in a sukkah, he makes it very, very hot day. Very hot day is boiling. So the Goyim, they go crazy. They say, wow, what kind of mitzvah is this? And they begin to kick the sukkah. Who needs this? They kick the sukkah. So the question is, why Hashem gives the Goyim the Sukkot, they sit in the sukkah? Also in the Nevuot, it mentioned the Goyim a lot. Pesach, you don't bring a Goy to Leil HaSeder. Pesach symbolized finally going to freedom. The Goyim were making us their slaves. Finally, we got rid of the slavery. But Sukkot is a different story. Even though according to Kabbalah, it's very not recommended that a Goy will enter the Sukkah, Tachat Ananei HaKavod, the Shechina. But if a Goy went in according to the Pshat, it's not an Avera. A cleaning lady went and cleaned the Sukkah. By the Pshat, it's not a restriction. Only the Kabbalist, which it's mystical things, it's better that he won't come in. Usually everything that speaks in the Talmud against Goyim in general, you should know. It's not against all the Goyim. It's against the Ovdei Elilim. It's called Akum. I always use this expression, Ovdei Kochavim Umazalot, because most of the Goyim in the world are idols worshippers. Most of them. Even the Arabs, after Islam, they worship our gods. But before Islam, they have 365 gods. And every day of the year, they believed in a different god. And one of them was Allah, what they call Allah, which comes from the Hebrew name El. Right? And then when Muhammad came, he was copying everything from the Jews. As you can see, half of the Quran is copied from the Torah. He made them get rid of all the idol worshippings that they had, the Arabs. And he made them follow the one God. But most of the world, even today, all Chinese people, almost all of them with no exception, they're all idols worshippers, almost 2 billion people. All the Thailandese, all the Indians, all the Christians in the world, all Europe, all United States, all the Christians all over the world, all of them are idols worshippers. Those are the ones who the Torah or the oral Torah are speaking against. But the righteous Goyim that believes in one God and keep the 7 laws, they are not falling into these derogatory comments. Not the opposite.
That keep Sheva B'nai Mitzvah, who are they?
Well, today, first of all, you should know there are a few million Goyims in the world that are aware of the 7 laws of Noah. They are aware of it. There's actually movements, they're exchanging information, they have gatherings, they have materials about it in the internet. You put in Google the Noachites, they call themselves, and you see there are millions of them all over the world, and it's only growing. They're waking up, they're realizing that Christianity is false, and then they ask the rabbis, and there are many rabbis who answer them, you have to keep the 7 laws. They ask which are the 7 laws, they tell them, and there's also in the internet some website of Jews who made it for the Goyim. There's even questions in Halakha if it's mitzvah for a Jew to take a Goy and make him religious. How do you make a Goy religious? You teach him the 7 laws. Or if he's about to violate one of the 7 rules, if you save him from violating this rule, if it's called lo ta'amud al dam re'echa, or lifnei iver lo titen michshol. For instance, if a Goy wants you to help him to worship an idol and you prevent it, you do a mitzvah ba'ir, or if you help the Goy to violate one of the 7 rules, is this a sin for you also or only for him? Because it's called lifnei iver lo titen michshol. So the conclusion is, a Jew is not allowed to help the Goy to make a sin. Which sin? One of the 7 laws. For instance, if a Goy wants to steal, a Jew is not allowed to help him. If you say, what's the combination of this store? I want to go and steal the diamonds there. I'll give you 10%. I'll give you 20% if you tell me. He's not allowed to help him. Why? It's violation one of the 7 rules. Also, you should know that the punishments of the Goyim for every one of the 7 laws are much worse than the punishment of the Jews. Much worse. And they don't have Yom Kippur. They don't have Elul. They don't have this concept of tshuva like we have. They don't have it. Technically, they chayav mitar right away. It's very interesting. So it's up to Hashem when He decides when to kill them or not. He can give them a chance to repent, or He can just kill them. But it doesn't. They don't have all this privilege that the Jews received. Yom Kippur, Elul, Dirshu Hashem biyoto karov. All this we have all these things thanks to Moshe Rabbeinu. Why do you think we have this month of Elul? Moshe Rabbeinu gave his heart and soul to save his brothers. Went up to the mountain. Hashem wanted to destroy us for the sin of the golden calf, for Egel HaZahav. And what happened? Moshe Rabbeinu begged Hashem, and in the end Hashem said to him, Salachti kidvarecha. But Hashem said to Moshe, leave me alone. Let me destroy them, and I'll start a new nation from you. Yeah, so that's the 40 days of Elul. Moshe Rabbeinu, the 40 days from Rosh Chodesh Elul until Yom Kippur, that's where Hashem forgave us. Without Moshe Rabbeinu, we'll be, who knows where we'll be today. You understand? So this is the conclusion of all this. Now, since we have mamash another 5-6 minutes, let me read to you the word of the Ramchal. We'll finish with this. The Ramchal in Mesilat Yesharim, chapter 2, in Path to the Just. I have a whole series about the whole Mesilat Yesharim in Hebrew and in English. If you didn't hear it yet, it's a must listen. You have to listen to it, because this is many questions about the purpose of a life of a Jew. What does he have to do here? And many of the tricks of the Yetzer Hara to destroy us. How we can prevent from falling into his traps. That's why this book was written, Mesilat Yesharim, to teach us the right path. So, this is what he writes. Achad mitachbulot hayetzer hara. One of the common tricks of the Satan, of the evil inclination, is to make the human being always busy with nonsense. A person doesn't understand that he's busy with nonsense. Business, opening franchise, another location and another one. He has one location. He makes $1 million a year. He's more than wealthy. Well, what does he need more than that? He pays his children tuition. He pays his mortgage. He pays his vacation house. He pays for 3 cars. He pays for everything. We still have $500,000 left. He can live fine. No. Why? He looks, somebody else has $3 million a year. He feels poor. I'm the poorest guy in my community. Like one of the richest billionaires, Jewish billionaires, one of them came to me. He said, I want to take you to Mexico City. I said, why? I don't speak Spanish. He said, no, don't worry. I'm taking you to all my business colleagues. They all speak perfect English. They have degrees from the best universities. So he said to me, they think I'm rich like them. That's why they give me a lot of respect. But I don't know how to talk to convince them to become religious, because they're all scientists, they have a university brain. They say things that I don't know how to handle. So I'll take you with me, and they listen to you. If you be with me, they give me respect. They think I'm rich like them. In reality, he's richer than them. He's very, very rich. He tried to fool me, like I'm not so, I'm only rich, I'm not a billionaire. So he said, I'm going to go over there. So what's happened is, these people never have a moment of rest. Why? No matter how much they have, they're always busy. Let's open this, let's open. Every year you hear about this family, they want to open something new, they're on the news, they hear. Then what for? You have enough to live 50,000 years, just from the interest of the money. You just put the money in a CD, you have enough to live forever. But this is the words of the Ramchal. What does it say? It says, להכביד עבודתו בתמידות על ליבות בני אדם, עד שלא יישאר להם רווח. He always make a person so busy with his personal things that he doesn't have a moment. עד שלא יישאר להם רווח להתבונן ולהסתכל באיזה דרך הם הולכים. A person will never have a moment anymore left to analyze and to rejudge his direction in life. Why? Because he's so busy, he's already so deep into his investment, into his normal lifestyle, that it cannot make a time out and see, oh, you know what, let me reevaluate my life. Maybe I'm in the wrong direction. Maybe it's not what Hashem wants from me. So what happened? כי יודע הוא, the Satan knows, שאילולא היו שמים ליבם כמעט קט על דרכיהם, if they would have an hour in their life without the headache of their businesses, without the thoughts of the businesses, without all the things that happen and change in their life every second in their life, ודאי שמיד היו מתחילים להנחם ממעשיהם. Right away they start to repent, to make tshuva. 1 hour without all my investment and headache and telephones and this and stocks and every movement and the manager and the employees and imports and export and the truck and UPS, all these things that we have non-stop. Right away I say, you know what? I have a great opportunity to stop. והייתה החרטה הולכת ומתגברת בהם עד שהיו עוזבים החטא לגמרי, until they leave their sins completely. Right? So what's the conclusion of that? So this is what the conclusion. A person is not interested to meet himself. He's interested to meet the whole world. But he never made an appointment with himself, to know himself better. Right? He has a lot of excuses. I have obligations, I have mortgages, I have this, I have that. Right? And he's busy with hobbies. Even when his businesses doesn't require time, he creates himself new actions. Playing golf, tennis, fishing. Who needs this? Why? Not to be bored. Why? A person doesn't want to be alone and not in a center of actions. Why? He doesn't understand that the Satan is fooling him every second of his life. And the conclusion is, Adam she'en tochen na'ala lefanav, right? He's always sad if he's not busy with these things, with these activities, right? And he doesn't understand that these activities are blinding him, and they are also a fake replacement for the real pleasure, which is the Torah. If a person would take a time out from all this and fill himself with Torah, he won't need friends. He won't need activities. He won't need hobbies. He won't need 5 different jobs. He won't need all this luxurious lifestyle. None of it will be important for him, and he will be free from this slavery. A person make himself a slave of the Yetzer Hara. And one last minute, Mamash will finish these words. So, these people are constantly lying to themselves. And they busy in this fake life until Chas v'Shalom, they get to the moment that they have to separate from all this, and they realize the mistake. And Bezrat Hashem, now we're going to pray the Tefillah of Hoshana Rabbah with Kavanah, and we'll do the final tshuva, and that's it. The moments of tshuva is finishing. The window of tshuva is finishing completely in the next 2-3 hours. Bezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai L'olam, Amen v'Amen.